No questions from the children.
You have some difficulty at school or at home you would like to ask about? And difficulty with your friend you'd like to ask? Yeah. So you sit on the chair, good. And then we will listen to the sound of the bell, okay? And then you can ask your question.
Aiden.
Aiden.
So Aiden, you want to ask your question?
Sometimes people, I think that sometimes people can be a bit unkind to me at my school.
Can you give an example, Aiden?
I can't think of any examples, but sometimes people aren't unkind to me.
And how do you feel?
A tiny bit sad. Sometimes I tell my teachers that someone's been unkind.
And then what happens?
I don't know.
Okay. So, dear Sangha, the question is that sometimes at school somebody is unkind to me and it makes me feel sad. So one thing I do is I tell my teacher, but what else can I do? Brother Phap, would you like to answer this question?
Okay. This is a very important question. Thank you for asking, Aiden. Yeah. What happens when we're... how about we ask the other children, has this ever happened to you? Just put your hand up. You've been at school and somebody's been unkind, yeah? And how about for the adults and the teens? Have we experienced that when we were at school? Maybe Aiden's age? Yeah. So we all have an experience like that. So you're not on your own. Yeah? That's one thing to know. Okay, Aiden? Yeah. So that you know that, okay, this is something that happens in between people and with our friends and in our school. And it can make us sad, and that's a natural reaction. So we understand, because we also have had that happen to us. And maybe the teacher, it helps to tell the teacher, but maybe they cannot stop it happening again. Yeah, it's something that's going to happen from time to time, and we can't always stop it happening. So what can we do when it does happen? We can remind ourselves, okay, this is something that happens from time to time, and I know that I'm feeling sad, but I also know that it's not all the time this happens, right? Does it happen all the time? No. So you can also know that it's not going to be like this all the time. And so you can also, something we can do is smile to our sadness. Can you smile to your sadness? Imagine you're feeling sad and you say, "Hello sadness, I'm smiling to you." Sometimes, and this is like, and we know why we feel sad, because we have a friend and he said something mean, he said something unkind, and of course it makes us feel sad. But the first thing we can do is say, hello sadness, and we can smile to our sadness. And there is a very nice image. It's like the sadness is like the rain, okay? You know when the rain falls? Yeah? And then the smile is like the sun, very warm, bright, friendly sun, and it's shining through the rain. Yeah? What happens when the sun shines through the rain? Anybody?
It makes a rainbow.
Oh, you got it. He got it. Well done. You are.
The rainbow comes if it's raining and it's sunny.
Yeah.
The rainbow comes.
And is a rainbow's quite beautiful, huh? Yeah. So when there is rain and there is sunshine, we can have a rainbow. So you can smile to your sadness and make a rainbow in your heart. Yeah. We can be with our sadness and smile to our sadness. And then eventually the sadness goes away, and we have a nice interaction with a friend, and we can forget about the sad moment. It goes away and we have a happy moment. Yeah? And then we can also smile to our happy moment. Yeah? But when we're sad, we can do like that. And we don't have to worry too much, because we know that the sadness will come and the sadness will go, and we can even smile to our sadness if we remember. Do you think you might remember to be able to smile to your sadness? You might, yeah. So if you remember, and see if you feel a rainbow in your heart. Yeah? Okay, so that's one thing we can do. And we can also, if the friend says something unkind, we can, even when we are feeling a bit better, we can ask our friend, why did you do that? Do you know that it made me feel sad? Because I want to be your friend. And maybe they will understand, try not to do that again. But it depends on if you're a good friend with that person. Okay? Thank you.
Does somebody else have a question like that they'd like to ask from among the children? So we'll take 3 breaths, and if the children don't have any more questions, then we'll ask the children, the brothers, and who take care of the children's program to go outside with you. So we just see, when we take 3 breaths, if anyone has a question, come up. If not, you can go outside and participate in the children's program together. So when we hear the sound of the small bell, the children will stand up, and a child back there has a question. Can you come up here? You can come around this way if you like. Oh, okay. You're getting applause from the other children. Thank you. Now we're going to have the sound of the bell for you to breathe. come a little bit near the microphone to ask.
So, I'm Tom. My question is, how should I help a friend that suffers with a mental health issue like depression or anxiety? Yeah, 13.
So when we see our friend is in suffering, the first thing that we need to recognize is also we suffer. We cannot be happy. Because the suffering and the happiness is not belong to, like, it's not a personal matter, it is a collective. So when our friends suffer, or we suffer, our friend also suffer. But if we can be happy, then we know that our friend also can be happy. And when your friend is happy, you will be happy also. So the first thing that you can do is to recognize that my friend is suffering, has suffering, and you also feel suffer. And then because you come here, you already practice the breathing exercise. The first thing you may do is to come back to your breathing and remember your friend inside your mind, and you breathe in and out. And you know that to feel suffer, to have depression, to have any kind of suffering, it will not feel good in the body and in the mind. So when you know that, then you can wish your friend, may your friend be free from the suffering that he has. May he be liberated from that suffering. And you also wish yourself, and you wish that you have enough happiness, enough joy to offer to your friend. And when we see our friends suffer, sometimes we really want to help. And the best help is to be there for them, to accept how they are. So we also don't give pressure for them to be happy. So we feel calm, and we come back to the breathing, and we make sure that we are fresh enough for them. And by feeling acceptance, and by your presence, by your kindness, this may help to relieve the suffering. And because nowadays we have a lot of moments when we spend time alone and we feel very alone. And sometimes that kind of loneliness, if we don't know how to breathe in and out, we don't know how to be flowers, if we don't know how to be the mountain, it's very easy for us to have anxiety and depression. Yeah, when our friend has depression or have anxiety, it means they need friend. Yeah. And when you know that you are there, the help is there. Yeah, sometimes we think that we can say something or we can do something, but actually sometimes we just need to be there peacefully, accompany our friend, play with them. And sometimes we can offer some small gift to them, and this already gives a lot of happiness. When we have friends, we feel free. Yeah, yeah. We feel secure, and we feel home. We feel arrived, and we feel home. So the practice of breathing in as a flower may help you to be able to accompany your friend. To practice breathing of solidity also can help you to be there for your friend. Thank you.
Brother Tang,
Yes.
can I ask you something?
Yes.
You just mentioned the mindful breathing, and as being there for your friend, that you will be breathing. Is it possible to share with the friend, dear friend, I'm I'm breathing in and breathing out. And I don't know if you'd like to breathe in and breathe out with me, so we can do together. Yeah.
When the suffering is when you face a very difficult moment, because you already practiced that, then you can invite them to breathe with you together. Yeah. Thank you.
So, dear children, this was a question from the teenagers. Do the children have any more questions? No? So then we can have more questions from the teenagers if there are some. But I think that first of all the children can go outside. Turn around to show your gratitude to your elders. Enjoy your peaceful walking out of the hall. And dear teenagers, do you have any questions? Any teenager like to come up here and sit on the seat? Ask a question. Sometimes when we're a teenager, we have a lot of stress at school, a lot of pressure.
So who are the teens? Can you put your hand up? There's three of you there, is it? In the teens group? Yeah, okay. So I want to ask one of you a question. Would anybody come up so I can ask you a question? Okay, we have one. So first of all, I double check. You don't have a question for us, or because that's more important.
Well, I mean, I actually originally had one that I shared with my Dharma group, and I could ask it to you, maybe see what you had in mind.
Sure.
So, in my Dharma group, I think I shared this on Tuesday, is isolation during school time. Sometimes during like lunch or break times, I just sit by myself and I had an experience with one of my school that when I was sitting in a group, everybody else was talking except me, so I felt like there's no point in actually sitting there, and so that makes me want to feel excluded, and I ended up just sitting by myself the whole time, and I've been stuck with this situation now for like 4 to 5 years, and I just would like some advice on that, because I find it hard to actually join a group and just talk to people.
Thank you very much for your question. From time to time, I also have the same experience with you in my community. Yeah. Because I'm the one also silent. I don't like to talk too much. The more I come back to myself, I I come back to my silence, I see that I get more energy and more peaceful. But you know, in the community, we need to communicate by words. So sometimes we need to talk. Yeah. And I don't know how about your expression by your face. That do you have enough peaceful from inside to outside, or you feel not inspired and you feel boring, and outside is your face expressed and the people not feel comfortable. So this is we need a little bit to looking deeply into this. And for me, sometimes I feel I'm enough peaceful, and I continue to sit there, and I just come back to my breathing. And so with that kind of practice, I can maintain my energy and also my peace and my joy. Even though I don't talk, but the energy that I offer to my group is more powerful than what I talk. Yeah. So sometimes when they talk, and sometimes when they have a problem, they argue. But if you are in that group, you will help them to come back to themselves. You are like a bell master at that moment, and you play the role very beautifully. So if possible, you can continue practice mindful breathing. But if sometimes you feel not well, and you can find the skillful way to ask to leave the group. Yeah. Because the more you stay there, the more you get tired. So you know, you're checking yourself, you know what is your limit. Yeah. If you see that, okay, I cannot listen anymore, and I ask to go out and do walking meditation or drink a cup of tea, and you can ask in skillful way, with love in speech, and you still keep your calmness and your peaceful in yourself. And by the way that you acting like this, the people can understand and help. Yeah. And I don't know about do you hear about the practice of pepper meditation for the children? The flower, the mountain, space, water. Yeah, you can ask the facilitator in your group to share more about this. And you keep, sometimes we need something in our pocket. Normally we have an iPhone, but at the moment maybe iPhone is not helpful anymore. So you have something like from the nature, the leaves or the paper, you put on your pocket. And then at that moment you can hold. No one see what are you going to do, what are you doing. But you know yourself very clear, I am breathing. And you hold the paper or the leaf inside, and you just come back to yourself and breathe mindfully, and just come back and take care of yourself. And then you do for you maintain your freshness as a flower, maintain your solidity as a mountain, and your stillness as a water, and your space as the blue sky, something like this. And you, even though you sit in that group, but you don't feel boring because you have something to do with. Yeah. And also you can offer the beautiful energy to the group. And then the people, even though they don't hear any sharing from you, but they feel your energy. And with that kind of energy, you can include in the group by your peaceful presence. It's not by your sharing. Yeah. This is my own experience. Thank you very much.
Dear teens, we have one more. We can have one more question from the teenagers, if you would like.
What am I doing? My question's nothing to do with the teens, actually. Is that allowed? It's to do with the practice. I'm aware there's a large focus on slowing down and paying attention, and that slowing down helps with that. And I'm also aware that there are some amazing things that happen at great speed. If I think of a pianist or a dancer or a gymnast, or there's lots of things that happen at great speed, and I wonder about the practice, if there's where the practice meets this, or if the practice has anything to say about this.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear friend, in the sutra there is a sutra about a pair of acrobats who do... In the sutra, the Buddha tells a story of two acrobats who are working together to do quite a difficult and dangerous act. And so they need to move quite quickly. And one day, the senior of the two acrobats says to the younger one, now this is the principle upon which we should act together. And the principle is that I have to always be looking out for you, and you have to be looking out for me. And in that way we can do our act safely. And then the younger acrobat said, I don't agree with you. I feel that we have to look out for ourselves. I have to come back to myself and take care of what I'm doing. And you have to come back to yourself and take care of what you're doing. And when I do like that, I am in fact taking care of you. And when you do like that, you are in fact taking care of me. So when the Buddha heard like that, the Buddha said, yes, the younger acrobat is correct. So when we practice, when we're doing things quickly or whether we're doing them slowly, the thing is to be able to come back to ourselves, to unite our body and mind, and so that our body and mind are doing something together. And it's the same with a pianist or with a with a dancer, that what they need to do most of all is come back and make sure that their mind and body are together. If the pianist is playing and suddenly start thinking, oh, what am I going to cook when I get home, then they will play maybe the wrong note, or the dancer doing the same will think. They have to entirely be there with what they are doing in the present moment. So it's not really so much a matter of fast or slow, it's a matter, can you really be there in the present moment? And we also know that our thinking is very fast. This NST that we talked about, it works very fast. And in another sutra, the Buddha said that slow down your thinking. Before you can stop it, you need to slow it down. So just notice your thinking, what is happening with your thinking, and with your breathing, help it to go more slowly, so that one thought is You're aware of a thought, beginning and existing and ending. And then you only let the next thought begin, and you slow down your thinking like this. And sometimes you can do it by writing down each thought. That is another way to slow it down. And slowing down your thinking like this will be very good for your brain, help you to rest, and also be very good for your peace and your calm. Although it's very boring, these thoughts that go on are very boring, but to be able to slow them down, they will gradually stop. And then you feel a lot of calm, a lot of peace, and you have a lot of energy to help others. So there are circumstances where we need really to slow down. And sometimes when your thinking is too fast, your emotion is too strong, to take very, very slow steps. And to ask yourself, have I really arrived? When you say arrive. And you say, not yet. And so you just wait until you've really arrived. And then another step, you ask, have I really arrived? And you just wait till you've arrived. And by that complete kind of slowing down, it seemed that your thinking and your emotion also slow down. And at that point there is more peace and more calm. So we have to know when to be slow and when to be fast. And then we can be mindful at all times. So we have any wake-uppers here who would like to ask a question?
My heart is pounding, but I'm really grateful that I got this opportunity. So maybe about 2 months ago, I attended this climate conference, and it was the first time that I really allowed myself to feel a lot of very strong emotions around climate change. Like panic and overwhelm and grief. And it really became real to me for the first time. And ever since that, I feel like a changed person. There's a rawness to my experience, and that's not bad as such. It's just there's more awareness there, and it's more hard to handle. And my main question is around safety, a feeling of inner safety. Because before I had this experience, I really felt like I could go inside to the inner garden, and I could go and take my inner wounded child there. And it was the one safe place that I could go, and there was so much space for transformation and healing there. And since my awareness has really expanded, I felt it's almost impossible to feel safe anywhere, even inside myself, because I feel like this inner garden is very, very temporary, and I'm constantly aware of a feeling of crisis in terms of climate. So I guess my question is, how do I find and maintain a sense of safety that is real and authentic, with awareness of the suffering around me, somewhere that I can take refuge? Yeah.
Brother Phap, suggest that I respond a little bit to this. So I'll do my best. I think you know the poem by William Blake, to see a universe in a grain of sand and eternity in an hour. And this is how I practice. In fact, all we can do is take care of the present moment. That is our place where we are. And that is within our control, the present moment, how we are in the present moment, how we relate to Mother Earth in the present moment. The Mother Earth is there for us, still holding us, nourishing us. And we are a child of the earth. Whatever happens to the earth, it happens to us. The spiritual dimension is very important. The emotional dimension is also important. To be able to take care of our emotions, our grief. And we have ways to do this. Of course, we have to recognize that there is grief. We want our human species to evolve beautifully. We want to be beautiful children of Mother Earth. But we see so often that that isn't happening. And we feel grief that the human species, which is such a young species, may not be there very much longer. Whereas we had a really good chance, if we'd been more skillful, to be here for a long time. But maybe we haven't been skillful enough. When the astronauts first went up into space and they looked back and saw this beautiful jewel in the dark sky, they felt deeply moved. And for many of them, it was a very deep religious experience, an experience of awe. And their lives were completely changed by looking down and seeing Mother Earth. And when we get in touch with Mother Earth, even though we are not up there in a spaceship, we also feel that deep sense of awe and how wonderful life is. And of course, part of life being wonderful is that it is impermanent. And as practitioners of mindfulness, we need to practice mindfulness of impermanence. And impermanence of our own life, because we all have to die sooner or later. Impermanence of the human species, because sooner or later, however skillful we are, the human species will no longer be there. That is the law of impermanence. It could be a very long time. And impermanence of the earth, because sooner or later, even though it's billions of years, I don't know how much longer the sun has to go, but there is a limit of how long the sun will shine to make life possible on earth. So all these things are impermanent, and we need to be aware of that. And when we're aware of impermanence, it gives us a new energy. It gives us the energy really to enjoy the earth that we have now. So I really hope that in conferences about climate change, you have an opportunity to do walking meditation and be in touch with Mother Earth as she actually is here and now. Her beauty, her freshness. Because we could live for millions of years for species and never appreciate Mother Earth. And that would be a terrible waste. But if we've had one moment, like the astronauts up in the sky had, to feel that deep awe and deep wonder of Mother Earth, then I think it's worth being a human being. And when I practice walking meditation, I always have a chance to feel, oh, what a wonderful thing life on earth is. How fragile, how precious, and how wonderful. And in that moment I can feel eternity in an hour. And I don't have to worry about the future, because I know that in the present moment I'm doing my best. And I also know that Mother Earth is doing her best. So yesterday we asked ourselves the question, sometimes we ask Mother Earth, can we count on you? And then Mother Earth looks at us and she says, you can count on me, dear children. I've been through many, many disasters and survived them. But the thing is, can your mother count on you? And when we hear that question from Mother Earth, can your mother count on you? With tears streaming down our face, we answer, yes, Mother, you can count on me. I will do my best. And I will do my best to walk with love and mindfulness on you. Live the present moment fully. Turn off extra lights when I can. Do those little things that we are told will help. But the main thing is to do our practice and to appreciate and see the preciousness of this beautiful blue-green planet. Thank you. So, dear friends, now we open up for any older adults, and the teens can go out and enjoy their own program.
I'm Hannah. I'm a teacher, and I have a beautiful group of 8-year-olds who I'm responsible for part of the day. And for the last 2 months, I've been doing some mindfulness practice with them, which has been lovely. They especially like mindful eating. That's their favourite. No, sorry.
It's a bit far. I don't know if you want to hold the microphone.
Okay. Is that better? Yeah. I'm Hannah. I'm a primary school teacher. I have a lovely group of 8-year-olds who I'm responsible for sometimes, some part of the week. And I've been practicing mindfulness with them. I've been trying to do a little bit every day, and they really love it. As I say, especially mindful eating, that's their favourite. I really loved the teaching on the 4 gratitudes, and I thought that's something I'd love to introduce to them and offer to them to practice. But I guess my question to you is, when you have a group of children and you know or strongly suspect that there is abuse at home, how do you approach the first gratitude of being grateful for your parents when you yourself feel angry towards them and feel that the children, you know that it's not a nice thing to feel, but I guess I feel afraid of offering that to them when I know so many of them don't have a lot to be grateful for with their parents.
thank you, Sister Annabelle, for saying that we don't have the answers. Because I'm sitting here and I'm not sure. I know that in principle we can find gratitude for our mother and father for the fact that they gave us the opportunity to be alive, you know. But yes, I think we have to be skillful with any teaching and any practice to be appropriate. And if you see that for a particular child that is going to cause confusion for them, they're kind of having gratitude imposed on them when they are suffering, and that suffering has not been, you can't expect the child to have that kind of ability to necessarily transcend the suffering caused and see the gift, you know. So we have to be aware. So it's good that you have that sensitivity as the teacher, and to know what is the appropriate thing. So one thing we can also say is, if we have that concern, but we want to offer to the whole class, and we want to kind of still have them included, then we can invite them to think of somebody, rather than saying parents, that we feel safe with, that gives us a feeling of being cared for and being loved. And in other words, where that they get that love that we would want them to be thinking of from the parent. Yeah. So we could say a carer, because it may be that they have a grandmother, it may be it's you, you know, even you're the teacher, you're also somehow offering that kind of safe space and love and attention. But you invite, they don't have to voice it, it's this person, you know, you invite them to go to that person in their mind. So that is one possibility that's coming to me in this. And of course, for taking care of children where you suspect this is happening, I guess there's lots of important things we need to be doing to support the child in that situation. And that's maybe a bigger question, but for this one, for offering this particular teachings, and it gives, it does speak to a general point about all of the teachings, is that they need to be appropriate. So even the teaching that seems to be the most obvious, simple, but we need to be intelligent in our way of applying, appropriate to the one receiving, and also to ourselves. You know, to say, is this really fitting to my need? So, thank you for your question. So next, please come. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Claudia. I've just started, I've been working with someone for many years and he's just been diagnosed with a terminal illness. And he's facing a lot of physical pain and quite a close death. And he's thinking about maybe taking an overdose, terminate his life, and asking me for guidance. And so my question is, when does suffering overtakes the gift of life? And I'm not sure what my personal position in terms of life choices in relation to living or dying, when, as I said, there is a such strong physical suffering involved.
It's clear about that. What about that? Do you want me to make it clear? Oh, okay. So I'll just repeat your question in my own words.
Yes, sure.
If it's not correct, please let me know. Yeah. So, dear Sangha, are you his carer or?
Psychotherapist.
Ah, okay. I am a psychotherapist. I have a client who is suffering from a terminal illness, which involves a lot of pain, and also know that his life will not last very long. And this person is asking my advice about whether it's possible to take an overdose in order to put an end to the pain. Yeah. So how should I respond? Okay. Yeah. Do you?
Dear Thai, dear community, personally I have not yet experienced to accompany someone who has a lot of suffering in the sickness, in pain. But I have listened and read some Thai story, how he accompany people who in great suffering and sickness. And last week I also read Thai's book called The Other Shore, about how we accompany someone who is in fear or in suffering at the end of their life. And I feel it's true that before we are facing that problem, actually we need to have a skill, a practice where we can touch the non-fear and to understand death or to understand birth. Because when we do not have enough insight, it can be a lot of fear, a lot of suffering towards a sickness or pain. I myself experienced a period of time where I almost died in 2014. I had a very acute sickness at that time. And I really feel grateful for the practice being there. So I was isolated in one room that I cannot meet anyone, and I could not breathe well, and I could not sleep for 1 month, and I could not move, I cannot eat, I could not drink. But at that time I remember very clear that the mind has a skill of cultivating joy and happiness. At the beginning, of course, there is a kind of fear. What is going on with me? Am I going to die? And so at that time, I can see that when I come back to myself, there's a lot of insight that make me joyful at that time. I see that, oh, this is like going to the cave and practice a solo retreat. Because the medical professional told me that you will not be quickly get out, at least 2 months in the hospital. And I know that I will not meet the Sangha for quite a long time. And at the same time, I see that, oh, I can also do total relaxation every moment. And actually, that kind of practice relieve a lot of suffering during that time. It gives peace in me, in myself. And 1 month later, I really miss the monastic brothers and sisters to visit me, and every time they visit me, I feel a lot of energy. And somehow in one moment, I don't know which one is nurse and which one is patient in the hospital. Because when the nurse come into my room, I see that, oh, I need to take care of this nurse. Because if I don't take care of this nurse, I might be in danger. Because I cannot move, I cannot do anything. I have to give all my body to them. So I need to take care of them. And sometimes I ask them, are you tired today? And then they spend a little bit time to explain what happened to them that day. And we can have a friendship relationship with them. And then I think that kind of relation can relieve their pain also. Yeah, so I think the freshness and the happiness is the key to accompany someone who is in great suffering. What you can offer to her is, first of all, your freshness and your non-fear. And to be able to embrace what is there, that is the first thing that we need to do. To face someone who is in great suffering, so that that person may benefit from our non-fear energy, from our peace energy, and from our hope energy. This is something that we can offer to someone who is in great suffering. And of course, in some country there is a way called, I forgot the name, euthanasia.
Suicide.
Yeah. And I will see a question and answer from Thai at that time. And of course we do our best to respect life, to have someone or our life to live as long as possible. And to end the life should not be an easy option. It has to be a collective decision. It has to be no way out anymore. We need to explore as deep as possible. Is there any other way? We cannot just have a personal decision for this matter. Either that person can die by his own or her own wish. I think we need to have a collective insight from all of that, related to the people around her, related to the medical professional, and more exploration about how to reduce pain. It's not only something that we can say yes or no. Yeah, it needs deep insight. And yeah, of course, this is not something that we can choose or someone can choose, and we need to really have a deep looking in order to help. And sometimes our freshness, our happiness, our non-fear insight can already relieve a quite number of pain and suffering. And this is something that we need to explore also, this area, by our own practice, by our own peace, by our own freshness. And with the practice of mindful walking, mindful breathing, taking care of our own suffering, we may be able to offer that kind of freshness to someone who suffer in great deal. Yeah. Thank you. And if brothers and sisters want to add more things, please do.
So different. Would you like to come up? Ask your question? Or would you rather ask from there? You're happy, huh? Probably best for you to go around here.
This is closely allied to the last question. It's to do with impermanence. In fact, it's to do with death. I'm older than almost everyone in this room. I may not look it, but I am. And therefore I hope that I will die before them all, right? But I've had a very rational education, and I find it extremely unlikely that there will be any form of reincarnation or recycling of my personality, the bit that I recognize as me. What can you say to help? How does one approach one's death if one is not convinced of a rosy garden at the end, or, casting down my silver crown upon a golden sea, or golden crown upon a silver sea, sorry. So, there we are. So it may sound frivolous, that quote, but I think you can only weep or laugh at these situations, and I prefer to laugh if I can.
Ông nói là ông sắp chết. I will translate into Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something
Yes,
else?
I just wanted to say that my concept of spirituality is how to live. So I'm not, and to be honest, from what I've read, I don't think the Buddha was very much interested in metaphysical questions. So I want to know how to come to terms with this prospect.
Ông sắp chết. Nên mà ông không có tin là sau khi chết mà có gì. Tức là ông không có tin là mình có tình đồ hoặc mình có. Nên mà ông chưa chấp nhận sự chết được. Bởi vì ông nghĩ là sau khi chết nó hoàn toàn hết, nó không còn gì nữa. Cái ngã của ông là hoàn toàn không còn. Như vậy là khó để ông đó là chấp nhận sự chết.
Dear friends, there's one time Thầy told us that we die in every moment. You know, when we scrap your skin, and many
When you scratch.
scrap your
Scratch.
your skin, and many cells in your body die. You see, it flow down, and you see this is the death. In each moment, because we are so busy, we don't have a time to see it and to look it deeply. And normally when we someone was born, we celebrate the life. We celebrate the life, but we don't have time to celebrate the death every moment in our daily life. I have a question. Do you think that you will die soon? Do you think? For me, I don't know. Today I still here, but tomorrow I still alive or not? I don't know yet. Everyone also, we are not sure, because we don't know what will be happen for ourselves and for the others. So like Sister Annabelle shared for the question before, we need to take care of our present moment. If in this very moment you know what to do, you know what to do when you're still alive, and you know right away what you will do for when you die. If in the present moment we suffer a lot, we are suffering a lot, and we have a lot of despair, hatred, anger, we are entering the hell. You know, the hell. And if we are missing something, we are thirsty about the love or understanding, we are hungry lost in this moment. You understand what I mean?
Not quite, because I didn't hear it all.
You didn't hear?
Also the realm of the hungry ghosts. You heard about that?
Yes, yes.
She said that in this very moment we can be a hungry ghost if we're desiring something we haven't got. And,
we don't need to wait for the future to enter the hell or to become a hungry ghost. We are hungry ghosts in this very moment. If we don't know how to take care of ourselves, if we are searching for many things that we cannot attain, and we are suffer a lot. So take good care of the present moment is the best way for you to know what is your next life. Next life is not waiting after you die and you become someone else. When you breathe in and you breathe out, it's become a next life already. Every breathing is the new, and also I think we should not afraid of dying. In this moment, if you can practice and contact with the non-fear, like Brother Treasure share, and we are not afraid anymore. And you know, you are already transmit everything to your children. If something you didn't have a chance, the opportunity to do it, your children will do it for you. And when you look deeply into yourself, you see that your children inside yourself, your children will carry you to the future. and then your grandchildren, your descendant is your continuation. So we are not lost anything. And we normally think, this body is me. I'm in this body, but we are bigger than this body. We connect with many things outside. The nature, the birds, many elements around you is you. So you know how to take care of outside. It's also so you take care of yourself. Everything is interbeing. So for me, I think that if we see that now we are old, we don't have a lot of time to do many things. So instead that we worry that we cannot do, now we do bit by bit, deeply and deeply. And you will see that it's more effective, and you feel you can be happier, and you can have more insight and more freedom. With the freedom and the non-fear element inside of you, you will not scare anything. So please try to live deeply in the here and in the now. Every time you walk, even though you have the support by your second body there, but the stick, and also you can walk mindfully and beautifully, and you see that I'm still lucky, and I can walk peacefully, joyfully in this moment, and on this beautiful planet. You can create joy and happiness while you are walking. We don't wait. We have a good legs in order to walk. Many people, they have a healthy feet, but they cannot walk like you. So you see, even though you need something support you, but you can walk happily and joyfully with the Sangha. And whenever you sit, you also try to come back to yourself and enjoy every breath that you make. Oh, very precious! I still alive, and I will enjoy my breathing deeply. So thank you very much.
So, dear friend, tomorrow we have to also look into this matter a little bit in the Dhamma talk.
Right.
So you may be here tomorrow. I think we'll all be here tomorrow. So, dear Sangha, I think that now we have come to the end of our question and answer session today, so that we can enjoy our break before we have the walking meditation. And so we will listen to 3 sounds of the bell in order to end our session. Dear friend, before we end, I remember that Brother Phap he said you wanted to say more about the question on climate change. So please, if you need to massage your feet a bit, but we will not yet have the sound of the small bell.
So, dear friends, the question from the young lady, I think her name is Ella. Yeah, she's not in the room, but it's a question I think should concern all of us, because in fact what I felt was it's very brave to face climate change, these questions, and the way she shared, I felt very humbled actually that somebody allows the impact, the emotional impact in. And I think if I may be speaking for some of us, that's not such an obvious thing to do. It's quite a kind of scary place to go. So for me, it's a bit like the trauma in the past. The nature of a trauma is the overwhelm of our system, psychological system, and it has a way. We have a kind of psychological mechanism to block it off, because the trauma was too much. It overwhelmed us, and so we have a way to compartmentalize in our system, and we don't go there. And only with a kind of very skillful way are we able to reintegrate the experience and not bring it into, have a way to psychologically integrate it. And we have to go through a kind of experiencing again the trauma, but in a kind of way which is we're able to then assimilate. And with something like climate change, it's like a trauma, but in the future. And we do the same thing. We block it off because we are frightened of the overwhelming thing. So we maybe collectively should think but if we do that, we also then are not in touch with reality. We're kind of blocking out. We're just not facing it. I can't say to what degree I've done that work of facing it, but I think collectively maybe we can do together. Like in Dharma sharing, there is more collective energy to hold the question of facing and being together. That is one way we can support each other to look at this question without feeling so on our own with it, and it can help with the fear of being overwhelmed, because we can support each other, and not be just like in Dharma discussion. We have the bell, we can breathe together, and we can be there for even strong emotions, like the image of the Sangha as a boat. It can contain stones, whereas without the boat, the stone sinks. So that is what I wanted to share. Just that that there is this aspect of facing this kind of overwhelming fear of what is happening. But I think until we do that, our way of approaching the situation, we may be not able to fully engage with it in the appropriate way. So that is what was coming up for me, and I found it beautiful that she could share where she's gone with it. It's quite brave, and also the response from Sister Annabelle was very, very beautiful and powerful as well. And I just add that part about how we look at this sort of psychological approach we take to facing the fear and allowing it to come. The Buddha shared about not the fear of death as well, of like bringing the subject up to circulate it, to not allow it to stay kind of as a sort of unmet fear, but to circulate it. It doesn't mean that the fear doesn't stay there, but somehow we face it a little bit together. You know, not to overwhelm ourselves, but to not run away from it either. Thank you.
So, dear Sangha, when we hear the sound of the small bell, we can massage our feet. And then the next bell we'll stand up. Yeah, you can massage your feet first.